Who do we have here today on I Hear Voices?
It's Neil Ellice is joining us. We cannot wait. Thank you so much.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, Neil. How you doing?
Good, thank you. Nice to meet you both.
You as well. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
We've been really excited. We were talking, so our little pre-show chatter here was talking about how we both considered ourselves gamers until the introduction of the third and fourth button on the controller.
Yeah, I hear you.
At which point it got very confusing. But this was also kind of as big as video games were. This was before it's kind of become the new movie, for lack of a better word. I mean, it's taken over, media everywhere. So I'm just curious, were you? Let's start here. Were you a gamer when you were growing up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had everything from I think when I was a kid, my sister had I have an older sister. She had an Amiga. Remember that?
Nice.
That's where I first got started. And then everything all the way up to an Xbox for one Christmas. So, yeah, I mean, look, they're immersive. I hear you. I mean, I once played Gears of War for 14 hours straight.
What? See, that's interesting. Yeah. That's very, very interesting. The like what you were saying about how it's the new movie, Will, but like we've also talked, because Will is very big in D&D and the culture.
Oh, cool.
D&D. Yeah. Have you ever played D&D?
I'm in the middle of writing something right now, and I just learned the term true neutral.
Ah, there you go. Okay.
So are you a true neutral, Will?
No, I'm a good. I'm more of a it's hard to say which character I play. There's sometimes I'm a chaotic evil, but a lot of times I'm closer to what I am is a nerd, Neil.
Me too.
And I love it.
Aren't you Empire? Aren't you an Empire guy for the Star Wars?
Me?
Yeah, I thought you were Empire.
Well, no, I've always said that, if you ever got as an actor, everyone wants to play a Jedi, and I would love to do that as well. But when I look down at my hand, I want to see a red lightsaber.
So what about Revan? And we're completely interrupting Christy's flow, by the way.
No, that's fine. This show is called I Hear Tangents, so don't even worry about it. We'll get off.
I don't hear you is also.
Maybe you're a Darth Revan guy then.
That could possibly, yes. Again,
a little bit of good, a little bit of bad.
You never know when the blade's going to pop out. Is it going to be blue? Is it going to be red? You never know. I kind of love that. There's also the whole. All right, if we're fully nerding out here, there's also the whole side that really the dark side isn't necessarily dark. It's just another way of looking at and utilizing the Force. So there are people that claim that being a Sith doesn't necessarily mean you're bad, especially back in the day.
You're saber neutral. Saber neutral.
Well, there you go. None of these characters believe they're bad. I don't think even General Shepard believes he's bad.
I think that's true, but that's the question: is do you know your own insanity? Is a whole nother podcast we'll get into at another time.
Well, no, but I also think you're talking about nuances in how we approach characters, and in terms of the character that you're portraying. I mean, you're literally the face of this franchise. Can you walk us into, walk us through that process?
Well, Ghost is kind of the face of the franchise, which I think is really smart because Samuel just smashes it. But yeah, I mean, Soap is for I think the majority of levels in the game. You see Soap both in the cinematic scenes, to your point, Christy, right? It's a very cinematic game. You see him in the cinematics, but you're also playing as Soap. So the work I did was across performance capture in the cutscenes, the cinematics, as well as still wearing the suit and still with all the other actors, but my helmet camera is off. And instead they convert my helmet into a camera. So there's bits in the level that they get to a certain point and Graves might say, well, listen, we're going to have to bust this door open, Soap. Get on it. And then if the player lingers, Graves will nag him. We shot that. That's me standing there. They're all in the PCAP suits with the cameras acting, but I'm in the PCAP suit, but kind of like the camera.
You're the cameraman.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
for those pieces. So it's and it's
That's
very
so
strange when
wild.
someone's nagging you to do something and you just have to stand there because they have to get their 4 nags out and they have to get gradually more angry. And you just have to take it. It's the strangest.
For our fans who are unfamiliar with how you actually go about creating one of these video games nowadays. So PK, you're wearing an entire motion capture suit, correct?
What is it made of?
Yes.
Just like spandex?
Oh yeah, no, it's spandex and Velcro. It's an evil combination.
You are leaving nothing to the imagination.
Yeah, it's almost impossible. Actually, we had an issue because on top of that, you do actually have a tactical vest like soldiers wear, but it's not a tactical vest. It's there to hold all of the electronic equipment that goes for sound and the camera that's attached to your head. So once you've got all that on at the beginning of the day, they calibrate you, right? And then you are in that for the next 8 or 9 hours. There's no, because once all that gear comes off, they have to calibrate it again. So you're wearing it. And unfortunately, I couldn't get comfortable in it some days. So I bought this chair, this reclining garden chair, to the ridicule of everybody there. But really, they were jealous.
That's what I was going to say.
They knew chair
they knew exactly
you have ever. Oh yeah, and it had a lever that it wasn't just a lawn chair. Like it had a lever that your feet kicked out. I got a call the next day saying, "Don't bring that chair in again." And I said, "Well,
why?
I have every right to be comfy."
Yeah.
He says, "No, because that chair had reflective stripes on it, and it was you placed it within the void, within the volume, sorry, and it threw off the data for an entire day shoot that had to be manually, unraveled by someone.
Oh,
because every shot there's like a chair floating around." So anyway, that was it for the chair. But it's not the most comfortable stuff. You get on with it, you know.
But
now,
gosh,
you're
was
shooting
it comfortable?
Yeah, you're shooting 8 hours a day.
Yeah, that's the basic. Because there's no, some stages call it the volume. That's very similar to what they use at Star Wars for the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Really, it's just a giant stage with a ton of sensors. I mean, once you're in the suit by 9 a.m., that's it. You shoot until 5 or 6 because they don't need to stop for rain coverage. They don't need to stop for anything. It's all inside. So. Yeah,
and are you shooting it like a film? I mean, are you getting pages every day and you're memorizing your dialogue and you're shooting everything just like you would be shooting a film?
Yeah, the sides. So the way they make games is that it's layer upon layer upon layer. So throughout the whole 2 years, I may worked like 2 or 3 times on the same scene, but bringing in different elements, right? But essentially, the way the flow goes, like one's called the alone mission. The very first day of performance capture was straight in at the deep end because it's a scene at the top of a level where Soap, my character, Soap MacTavish, is injured. He's dying. And he's trying to get his friends on the radio, and no one's responding until one character does and helps him through the mission. So that on that first day, I got the script maybe 4 or 5 days before they locked the script. At that point, they've locked all the digital sets because even though you're working in a giant space, like they've built all the sets. Where the guy, the director, Jeff Negus, is there with a camera, which doesn't look like a camera. It's called a V-cam. It's just a computer, basically. But he'll point it at you, and if you look up at the screens on the wall, you see your character on the full set.
What?
It's already built.
Insanity.
Cool.
Yeah, they've been working for years building these sets, and then the actors start to come in, and it's very cleverly scheduled, right? So then we shot that scene.
I'm so sorry. I'm so confused. Walk me through this. Okay. So the volume, that's your studio.
Yeah, I think it's some studios call it the volume, others don't. But yeah.
And then when you walk in, are you looking at like little taped squares, like little X's, and they've created a makeshift like cube for you to sit on if you're sitting or
if it's a boat, they've taken some scaffolding rigging, and the wizards there, they have like stage hands, grips, have put together kind of a boat. It's on top of rubber tires. and then they're moving it to make it look like a boat.
Wow.
That's the most set that you will get.
Interesting. Okay, so it's very sparse, but then your director's shooting you guys in real time with this like computer camera, so it's very specialized. And so, but then if you're looking at a different TV, you're seeing soap in the
you're seeing soap. You're seeing soap in a car or on a boat. Wow. So part of the director's job is to make sure that it's there's also a motion capture director there. His name was Matt, very talented guy. He runs the stage, and his primary duty on our shoot was to make sure that that when we're playing out the scenes, that it plays out on the digital set. So they're having to work together to make sure that when we are getting in and out of a car, which is just some scaffolding, taped together, or a boat, that on the monitors it plays. It's very precisely matched.
Wow,
so
that's crazy. Look, that makes ADR look like child's play.
ADR's hard. Have you ever the adrenaline rush when the beeps go? I can never get it right.
That's one of my favorite things in the world is ADR. So wait, so you're shooting this thing. How do you factor in that the player can control the character? So the player can the player kind of go off script? How do you account for something like that? How do you shoot for every eventuality of what the player might do?
So for the most part, all the levels, in Modern Warfare 2, you can play as a gunship, you can play as a missile in some of the levels, but for the most part, you're either Soap, Gaz, or Rodolfo. They know that stepping into it. So you'll shoot the cinematic, and then you'll go into parts of the level where there is interaction with the other characters. And basically, the player, pretty much can do whatever the player wants. But the artificial intelligence that's the layer upon under layer within the game itself will make the other characters start to speak up and say, "Hey, why are you looking out a window? There's a missile." And so they start to chime into that experience. So it gradually guides the player through. And then you might get to the end of a level where the first player, Soap, has to do something, has to punch in a missile code, has to solve a problem. And if the player, and some players do, they just decide just not to do anything, just to see what happens.
That's true. They want to tempt fate.
That's what I would do.
We shoot for that. So we'll shoot that version. So you maybe a Ghost or Graves, as I'm what's called idling. And then there's an idle script. So that has each of them saying 6 times, "Hurry up, hurry up. Listen, we're gonna lose if you don't do something." And then that kicks in. 5 or 6 times.
And it's the AI of the game that kicks in. Like, the player's just sitting there. The player went to the bathroom.
The player's sitting there. Yeah. They didn't press pause.
AI. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and it's all a lot of it's AI. I think this one is called Next Generation Call of Duty. So it's very, very immersive.
That's nuts.
I don't know if it made it into the game, but we did do some work in Amsterdam where there was crowd work. So the first person's moving through a crowd, but it just depends upon how you move. Literally, all of the models are all controlled by AI, and you can interact. They're looking at you in the eye. It's very realistic.
Now, wait, you said you shot in Amsterdam? You shot in Amsterdam?
No, that was one of the scenes.
Okay.
One of the levels takes place in Amsterdam.
Okay.
I ended up only shooting a vertical slice. So I worked for a few days on a level in Amsterdam that just never made it into the game. It made it in a different way. So another thing for your listeners, like when you do a video game, you're not just doing the cinematics and the voiceover in the first person. You may well be hired very early into the process. So I was hired in 2020, which is 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't start working on the finished game. I started working on, they had me do monologues and little slices of levels that they would then take to a green light committee to continue the production of the game as kind of a showcase
So they need more and more money basically to keep it
Yeah,
going.
the money's released over time. Yeah.
Wow.
So you're kind of a utility player.
I was going to say, how much was the budget on this? Do you know? Is that
I don't know.
public knowledge? Like, do we ever
Sure
find
it will
out?
be.
Well, they make
I don't know.
They make
I
so
honestly
much
don't
money.
know.
So
Yeah,
if
do well.
if the information I got is right, and I'm sure it is, but it can't be. It's insane that in the first 3 days. So first of all, this was considered it's like the second largest rollout in history. And in the first 3 days, the blockbuster game generated $800 million worldwide. So that is more than Doctor Strange and Top Gun combined.
Yeah.
Which is insanity.
Well,
it's amazing.
it's been 3 years since the first Modern Warfare 2019, which was spectacular, and I think was definitely set up people's interest in this game.
I'll say,
especially because you've got Soap and Ghost and some of the other and a newer character coming into the 141. Yeah, I mean, they did it really interesting this time because they decided to do a pre-release of the game on October the 21st. Then was the normal release of the game on the 28th, and then multiplayer Warzone 2, I think not until November the 16th. So the game itself had time to breathe.
Yeah.
And they're just, I mean, listen, the people, so Infinity Ward makes the game. Activision funds it, does all the publishing and the marketing, and I mean they're second to none in the world in terms of the assets that they put together, the hype that they put together. I mean, we even got to shoot a live action teaser trailer, which I wasn't expecting. So they had all that stuff planned out in advance, and we did it, and that's where you end up. And congratulations to them, because there's literally thousands of people across America and Europe. There's a huge office in Infinity Ward, Poland and Germany, all contributing towards the game. So it's a lot of people.
We had Troy Baker on, and we only talked to him a little bit about this process. So talking to you about this is really awesome. You seem to have such a fresh, obviously very up to date perspective, and so comprehensive. Brendan. Oh my gosh, Will, I did it again. I called to my husband.
Constantly calls me her husband's name.
Sorry, because I love you. That's why
I don't have no problem with it.
Not like that.
I think we all get that.
But it's like one of those things where we have this very traditional animation background. Mm-hmm. And of course, I think I would love to do mocap. There was a time when I was like, all like hoping that I would get that opportunity. Will, would you like to do mocap too someday?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, just because it's so different, and it seems like this, it sounds ridiculous. It sounds crazy, and it might sound like hyperbole, but I do believe it's the future, meaning it is the perfect hybrid of player involved, single person, which people want to be involved. If everything you're looking at is social media and it's all about me, we come from whether you like it or not, we come from a very kind of egotistical and selfish kind of society. So we're all about social media. We're all about ourselves. We're all about our own brand. So the idea of a video game where you're in control, you're in charge, but it's also the hybrid of shooting where you are voiceover, your animation, but you're still shooting like a film. I do believe it's next. I believe it's absolutely next. I believe the next thing we're going to see is Avatar or any of these kind of DC movies, but we get to be one of the characters in the thing, and we get to control what's going on.
Oh, that would be genius.
I think that's where we're headed. And I think that's what video games are showing right now, is that, I mean, when you've got video games that are making this amount of money, this impact, are this intricate when it comes to the process of shooting them. I mean, you were booked, you said 2 years ago to start this thing. So yes, I mean, long-winded answer. Of course, I'd love to give it a shot. But I also think it's becoming a very specialized niche in the acting world. And that's one thing I wanted to ask you about is, you started on camera, or did you start as a voiceover actor, or did you start on stage? Well, let's put it this way. How'd you start?
Yeah, well, just in acting classes, honestly. I did a little bit of theater when I was younger, and then just a few years ago, I decided I really wanted to give this a whirl. So I just started shooting writing and shooting my own little short films, and put a reel together and a voice reel together as well. I'm really passionate about voice. I got very lucky. I got to meet a guy called Mick Winger, who, if you've not had him on your show, like, I would invite him. He's a fantastic actor, voice actor. I believe he's the voice of Iron Man from Marvel, as well as a whole ton of others.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Mick.
Okay. Cool.
Mick's a good guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So Mick, back in the, I mean, I don't know if he's still doing it, but he had a thing where he had a little introduction to voiceover course. So I did that with him, and he had a weekly group where people got together at his studio with audition sides or just material to workshop, and it was such a nice group of people.
Aww,
and everyone would give each other feedback. It was like an hour long, a couple of hours long. And then I got to a point where I really wanted a reel. He helped me record a reel. And then, just together with that, just like put that together with, some of the short films and things that I'd shot and got it out there, basically. Just little bits and pieces. I mean, I've done stand-in work, background work. I've done like one-liner co-stars.
You're an actor.
I know, right?
Yeah.
The co-stars are the hardest one, actually, to book, I think.
Yeah, they are actually.
and then to do on set, because you're kind of like, you're like,
you're fitting into someone
you're ready to go.
Show.
Yeah. Do you want fries with that? Cut. Sorry. What was I? Too much? All right. Sorry. Just
pull it back.
Tone it down. And then I ended up booking. I got lucky because I managed to get a small guest star audition for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I got into the mix with the Sarah Finn company, Krista Hussar, and then I just. You just do enough of that, people get to know you a bit and bring you back. You might not be right for this, but you guys know the drill. Yeah. And then I ended up booking Loki, so for Marvel. So that was really the start of like, feeling like I'm
you've made it.
I'm really doing it now. I was there in Atlanta for a number of months and surrounded by just the best of the best.
Yeah. It's a great show.
So I have a question. So then your confidence, it sounds like, in sort of understanding your casting, because when we think about the way that you're being casted into the mocap, one, I actually look at Kim Possible, which I don't know if me and Will were on that show.
Yeah.
So Kim was really big, in the 2000s, and so she was a very iconic looking character. And I remember when we first started working with them, Will, that, they were trying different hair colors out on her. Now that she's 2D animation and whatnot, but there is something to be said about when you see the voice of Pocahontas and you feel her energy and you're like, oh, they're kindred to one another. Okay. When you see Mandy Moore, she plays Rapunzel. A lot of these actresses that play princesses or play Disney characters, I have noticed from firsthand experience, there's a kindredness to the way they look, the way they act. And I don't know, Will, you know this, like if you start playing a character, most of the time those studios will send along for the animators a camera, and they'll watch you. And then they'll send it to the animators so that they can see the way that you're sort of interacting with the microphone. And I feel like a lot of people marry my actual likeness to Kim Possible. And it's strange because I don't do that much voice work. So I just am curious, like in terms of your casting as sort of this, like probably pretty masculine and like, from a different country and sort of like an ass kicker. So it's like, that's your casting. So as
tough
you're
guy with a soft spot that's hard to find.
Yeah. That's what I would also. I think if I've read the bio right, the accent's fake. You're from Cleveland. So we all know that.
I need to shuffle off now.
I see what you're saying. Is that something that you were? I mean, it's not typecasting so much as just seeing yourself in the character, right?
Well, to Christy's point though, and actually kind of to the point before, so this is the era of 4K gaming, right? So I don't know if you've seen the models for Modern Warfare or the models for Far Cry 6. When I was kind of figuring out what I'm getting myself into, because I knew this was going to be a 2 to 3 year commitment, right? There's no backsies. You know what I mean? Like once you're in, you have to. And like Daniel Day-Lewis says that. He says he only does projects every few years because he feels he really has to be the director's ally, and even if it's pouring with rain, you're still there.
Sure.
So I looked up where gaming was at, and I saw Far Cry 6, and I saw that Giancarlo Esposito was in that, and I got shown some footage from that, and I was just blown away. So kind of to your point, Christy, roles like this are going to be your likeness. They're going to be you. I mean, maybe you're cast as a monster or an elf or something like that, but they will still capture your eyes. That's 100% what they're going for in terms of how cinematic gaming is now, where 4K can capture the nuance of a performance, and that your eyes are you. But for the most part, they're going to be casting you. I mean, they cast Rhea Kilstat as Laswell. And that's her likeness, same as Glenn Morshower. So going into that, I knew this wasn't a monster or an elf or like Benedict Cumberbatch the Smog the Dragon, right? I knew it was going to be me.
Yeah.
So lean into that.
Yeah.
Absolutely lean into being yourself, and that's hopefully that's what will play, and that's what played in the auditions. But yeah, acting wise, I mean, of course it helps to understand what your casting is a little bit. I mean, you have to have an idea of that, I think. I mean, I don't know if it's the most interesting stuff for audiences to hear about, but for actors, yeah, I mean.
Well, we have a lot of actors. In fact, we have a contest going on right now. That's really fun. And it's sort of like not Star Search. I don't know if you
American Idol. It's
American Idol.
So we're we're doing and it's going to be launching soon. We're doing the American Idol version of finding the next big voiceover actor, and you win
or mocap.
You win a year. Well,
Yeah.
you win a year with a voiceover agency, and you win some very cool things, and you're flown out to LA, and you win some cool stuff. But we always love to give as much of as many acting tips as we can, because at the end of the day, every actor we're talking about is not a, yes, I do voices, but I'm an actor first. So yes, I do mocap or anything, but yeah, what we do as actors, and we just kind of find our medium. But that's one of the things that I find interesting and a little scary about the mocap world, is because one of the things that I love about animation is that I will get cast in things that I would never have a chance of ever being cast as. I mean, there's no way they would have ever cast me as Batman.
Mark Hamill says that, doesn't he?
And it's true. So as a perfect example, I'm sitting in between Kevin Conroy, God bless him, and Mark Hamill as we're doing Batman Beyond. And I just never would have had that opportunity if it was all live action. I just the kind of the, hey, it's all going to be mocap in the future is great, but it's also like, man, it's, I used to get to play superheroes all the time, and now I might not be able to anymore, because now it also has to match how you look. And that's a kind of a difference that's happening in the world of mocap. So
I think there'll always be animation. I think there will always be animation. And the fact that you're able to work on something like Batman Beyond with those legends, rest in peace, Kevin Conroy, and then bring it maybe more to center, just shows you that you've got range as an actor. I would but motion capture, listen, I would say the majority of motion capture work that I've seen out there is in the realm of monsters, fantasy, creatures, especially creature movement, right? So one of the auditions I had to do for Call of Duty was movement. I've forgotten the guy's name. Is it Richard Dorton? Anyway, he's a motion capture actor, but also does motion capture classes.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and so if you look at his website, you'll see he talks a lot about, at least for work like that, the craft of the actor is in the silhouette, right?
Yeah.
It's in using your body to convey as much as you possibly can, because yes, they'll capture it in the motion capture. Yeah, the fidelity is great, but you've got to give I heard it said on a few times on the Call of Duty set, just make sure that you're giving enough to the animation director. There's another director, by the way. The animation director is also
need
there.
at least three. Need at least three.
Yeah, make sure that the animation, you're giving enough to animation.
Sure.
In terms of how you're moving. So one of the auditions I did for them was with a rifle. So I had to show them that, there's a big difference between you can hold a gun like this, right? Or, they typically hold them down here, but then what plays a lot more on camera occasionally, you don't want to go too B movie,
right?
But it's to bring, see the difference?
Yeah. Yeah.
It can be here,
way more
or it
dramatic.
can be here.
Yeah.
Of course.
That you can't do that all the time, right?
Right.
That plays way more and sells way more of what's going on than just having a more neutral body. So yeah, I mean,
well, there's also for the the stuff you're talking about, kind of the animals and the creatures, and it almost seems like, I know it's a weird correlation, but it almost seems like interpretive dance, where it's kind of, you're trying to convey the spirit of this animal and the movements of this animal or creature or whatever. And maybe sometimes you have no dialogue. So there is something along the lines of it. Mine isn't right, but it's the technology is creating new types of acting, which I think is something that's very interesting. Well, it's your voice and your body, and it's just very, very interesting all the way around. Now, there is one thing I would like to talk about, and again, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but there's been a lot of talk about how
go ahead.
Video games they're getting to be huge business. They're making hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, and the actors are not. Now, do you have a feeling about that, where you're putting your heart and soul into something and the company's making a ton of money, and a lot of times the actors are not, I wouldn't say they're not fairly compensated, because you go into a contract knowing what you're going to be paid, but
that's the thing.
You do, but it's a
buyout, right?
Certainly the world of it's getting to be bigger business. Is there a time where we need, as actors, to renegotiate what's going on because there's so much back end to these video games nowadays?
Well, I think that they are. I think that's just a process of evolution each year. I don't know how often, because it would be the SAG-AFTRA, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how often they have that master contract renegotiation, but I think it's fairly frequent, and they try. I'm not speaking on their behalf, but I would imagine that you try to be on top of trends as much as possible. At the end of the day, the union's there to provide a basic agreement that is the kind of the floor, and you're protected in that instance. As it relates to like the box office or the gross of the revenues that the game is making versus your pay. The only advice I've gotten and that I could give is, like, you just try to get the best manager or agent or both and attorney that you can, that understands this realm. That's the key going into it. Especially if it's motion capture. If it's motion capture, it's a little bit more than voice. Are they capturing your likeness? Is it you? Is it you that's going to be on the poster, or you that's going to be the character model for the game? You've got to do your research. And
is there a bump? I am curious. Is there a bump in pay when they are using your likeness?
Well, that's all negotiated in the beginning, right? So there's no. I don't know the SAG-AFTRA thing well enough, but because I know there's like stunt bumps and overtime and these types of things which are catered for. I don't know about that. I think that's all kind of has to be thought about up front, really.
Good representation. You need good representation.
Well, it's not just good representation. It's representation by people that understand video games.
Yes. Okay.
And where it's going in the world, and
by the way, all the other deals that are out there. It's helpful to. But most voice agencies and most film and TV agencies will have share that information internally. So if someone is privileged enough to book a video game, they'll get the person from the agency or the management company who's most familiar with those deals to chime in, as well as with the attorney.
Right. There's somebody who focuses on that. Right.
Yeah, and you, as an actor, you really have to just, rely
Trust
upon
your
that.
people.
And then make a choice. You're committing. It's going to be a 2 to 3 year commitment.
Yeah.
Are you going to be in a huff in 12 months time from now? Or are we good to go? And you've just got to be, get the best deal that you can. And I'm in. Let's do it.
This has been so informative.
We are now, if you don't mind, if you would join us in playing our weekly game.
Yes.
Are you ready?
We play a wonderful game called Across the Garden as our wonderful listener. We like to keep it singular because then if we have more than one, it's a bonus. But our wonderful listener loves to hear is our Across the Garden, where, of course, we are playing once again Ricky and Mocha, the wonderful mice trying to make it across the garden and encountering other woodland creatures along the way. And we bring in an amateur voiceover actor every week and give them a shot. And then we're going to take all these pieces every week with the amateur and we're going to have them all animated. So everybody gets a little chance to be in their own cartoon. It's a ton of fun. We really enjoy it. We've got wonderful actors like you who will join us on this journey. And our guest today, who we can bring in. Hello. Are you Jacob?
I am.
Hi, Jacob. This is Jacob Stone. Now, you're an actor, singer, voiceover artist, and teacher.
Yes, indeed.
And you live in Salem, Mass. You live in near my old neck.
Oh, wow.
It's
a cool place to live.
Which is very cool. I've still always wanted to do Halloween in Salem, Massachusetts.
So cool.
It's time, I will tell you.
Jacob, are you ready to join us this week to play Across the Garden?
I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
You are going to be playing with the amazing Neil Ellice, who
I don't know about that.
We think you're amazing.
We think you're amazing. So yes, Neil, of
Everyone's
course,
amazing here.
is from the Call of Duty franchise, and we are going to once again be playing Across the Garden. I will be Ricky, as always. Christy will be Mocha, and then we've got some other people coming on. We've got Sergeant Smythe, and we've got Private Johnson. Everyone has their roles. I will be reading all of the stage direction as well, and let's jump into it. If everybody remembers last time, well, as always, Ricky and Mocha can't seem to get to the damn mall. But here we are, finally. So fade in, exterior mall continuous. A noticeably shabby Mocha and Ricky stare up at the giant entrance to the mall. Well, we did it. After the trials and tribulations, we're finally here. Aren't you grateful?
If one more thing gets in our way, I'm going to cut a bitch.
That's fair enough. Just as they take a step towards the door, a voice.
Halt! Who goes there?
Where's my blade?
Ricky and Mocha look up to find Sergeant Smythe, a chipmunk in a British Bobby's uniform, standing on a small makeshift parapet. We just want to get to the mall.
And I just want to get a holiday at Brighton. But that's not scheduled either, is it, mate?
A beat. Sergeant Smith looks over to his right.
Is it?
Another chipmunk with a clipboard pops up.
No, sir.
What is scheduled?
We have tea and crumpets at noon, herb picking at 1, and a merry roger round near Piccadilly at 2.
Sergeant Smythe turns and drops the accent.
What does that mean?
Johnson drops it as well.
I really don't know, sir.
A beat.
Sir, why do we need to put on the accent?
Because it matches the clothes, and these were the only uniforms they had left.
I know, but I don't know what any of the words mean.
Me either. What's our actual schedule?
We're standing on this balcony saying, "Halt, who goes there?" until 1, and then we can have some lunch.
That's what it says.
Well, it says bite of spotted dick, but I think it just means lunch.
Dear God, let's hope that's all it means.
Back on Ricky and Mocha.
Why does everyone start conversations with us and then forget that we're here?
It's a fair question. They notice him again.
Forgot you were here. Why were you coming here again?
We're just going to the mall.
I think that's allowed, right?
We've let everyone else in. Sir, do you think they just stuck us out here to get rid of us? I mean, we don't really do anything.
I know what you mean. I mean, I'm not even technically a police officer. I got laid off my job as a motivational calendar model, and I just kind of fell into this. You?
I'm not really sure. I got a nasty bump on the head and woke up here yesterday. Pretty sure someone somewhere is looking for me.
Ricky and Mocha just throw up their hands. Okay, we're just gonna go in, okay?
I am not asking anymore. We are going to go.
Yeah, that's fine. The door's open.
Ricky and Mocha walk into the mall.
So, no memories at all.
I've always been a chipmunk.
That's a fair bet.
The rest is kind of a blur.
They walk into the mall, fade out. That was great. Oh, that was funny. Oh, thank you both so much.
Oh my gosh.
Well done, Jacob.
Jacob,
Thank
that was
you.
amazing. I've got to say, for Sergeant Smythe, I never would have played him that intense, and I loved it. I love just the background. You can tell there was a background that was nuts, and then Jacob steps up. Jacob, I have to ask, are you going to be entering our contest?
Absolutely, I am. I'm always looking for a new opportunity.
Oh, we cannot wait.
Are
So
you talented? Thank you so
we
much.
can finally tell you the dates.
No purchase necessary. Can submit your entry at I Hear Voices at iHeartRadio.com between January 9th and February 9th. Entries will be judged. The contest is open to legal residents of the United States who are 18 and older, and we will post official rules for complete details as we get closer to the start.
We're very excited. So, Jacob, you've got to join because you are very talented. You got to put in a submission. Also, where can people find you if they're looking for you?
You can find me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, all at the same handle, at Jacob Stone Actor. That's Jakob.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Awesome,
We are
Jacob.
really looking forward to your submission, Jacob.
Thank you.
And you never know. Somebody's got to win. And
Somebody's got to win.
Like Christy likes to say, we're giving you your big break. I like to say we're cracking the door open. But either way, it's probably going to be somewhere in the middle.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us, Jacob. We appreciate it. And we cannot wait for your submission.
Thank you so much for having me, really.
Bye, Jacob.
Bye, Jacob.
Well done, buddy.
Everybody.
Neil, thank you too. Isn't it fun to see new people like getting their start? I love it.
It's wonderful. And it's it doesn't take much, you know. Did you guys write this?
I write him every week. Yeah.
Will's the writer. He's amazing.
Oh,
I've been
that's fantastic.
Lucky enough to write. I've written for a lot of the animated series that I was on. I wrote for Transformers and for I wrote for
Thundercats,
Teen Titans Go, and Thundercats, and a whole bunch of different
incredible
stuff. So I've been
well, that was good luck. That was incredible. That was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you. We're so happy to have you here, everybody. Where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram and TikTok now.
Yeah, TikTok. What do you do on TikTok? Neil, what do you do on TikTok?
I put up a couple things on there. I am going to do, I think I'll do a little soap video probably for
cool.
a little bit closer to Christmas. But yeah, Instagram is Neil _Ellice until I get my hands on Neil Ellice. And then TikTok is Neil _ Ellice, which is spelled ELLICE.
And that's just until you can get your hands on Neil _Ellice.
You know what? Here's the thing: is I had it. Neil Ellice. Nobody took it, right? I had it. I don't know what I pressed. I think I got the birthday wrong, but basically it was like you can't post anything, and I was like,
no.
I was like, delete it. So I deleted it, and then I told my friend. He was like, "Why did you do that? You could have changed it." I was like, well, "Let's go back on and I'll register again as Neil Ellice." Sorry, it's going to take 30 days.
Wow, you got played by the
myself.
TikTok app. Yeah, by yourself.
By myself. It happens all the time.
Oh, no.
Oh, thank you for joining us. And of course,
thank you so much for having
Modern Warfare 2 was scheduled. It's got PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox, Xbox One, PC,
Steam.
Battle.net, Steam, and it was all released on October 28th. And if you are any type of gamer, I'm sure you've already gotten it. But if you haven't, go get it because it is an immersive world you're not going to want to leave. It is a pretty amazing thing.
Especially if first-person shooters aren't your thing. You know, if you're I don't normally do that stuff, check this one out because there's a lot going on between the characters that's a lot of fun as well.
Oh, I love that. Again, it's a movie that you get to control. Sign me up. Just take away 9 of the buttons and I'm there.
You and me, well, we're going to go and play a point-and-click romance after this, right?
There you go.
I would love to see that.
I would love to do that. I'm telling you. Thank you so much, Neil. I really appreciate it. And please, everybody go follow Neil because this is some pretty incredible stuff. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, man. Thanks you both, Christy. Thank you both for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no,
Good luck, Neil. Break a leg.
Bye, Neil. Stay
You
in
two
touch.
guys, both of you. Yeah, both of you. Thank
Thanks.
you. Take care.
Wow.